Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to episode 25 of An Earful Podcast, but obviously you knew that because you clicked on the episode. This is a great episode, but before I let you even listen to a second of it, I've got some things to tell you. Remember that bonus episode we did, Burn It Down Festival, with Dinosaur Pileup, TRC, Black Futures and Ithaca? Well, if you've been living under a rock since Friday, you should know it's got even better and there's more reason to go to it now. Fukovi, Shapes, Palm Reader and Siamese are joining the lineup. So if you listen to this podcast, you can get 20% off the tickets using the promo code An Earful Podcast. That's all I had to tell you. It was worth the 2 seconds listening to me, wasn't it? Happy you didn't skip ahead now. Anyway, on to the episode. We are joined by Cy and Matt of Junior, and if you didn't know, their bassist is Mark Andrews, a professional wrestler. You'll get that if you listen to the rest of the episode. We joined them in their cosy, snug hotel room before the DJ set in Manchester, and it was a great conversation, so enjoy this episode. Here we go.
Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
Oh, that's it. That's how we open.
Hello, everyone.
We're here with Cy
Sorry,
and Matt of Junior.
Hello.
How's it going, boys?
It's us.
Hello.
It's us.
I feel like we always do this thing where we always think we're going to have some really great big intro to a podcast and we're always just kind of like
slurping a cup of tea. That's big enough.
Yeah. I'll go with that. I mean, we can re-record this if you want a bigger intro.
No,
it's perfect.
Like X Factor level.
Oh, yeah.
Get full on voiceover.
It does the whole big like the build up like and it just goes,
Hello.
tonight.
In a
It's
hotel
us.
2 men will interview 2 men.
That sounds great. Fantastic.
Sounds great. I'd listen to that.
We're changing this podcast.
Yeah. Oh no.
Every single time we do a new episode, we just change like the
format.
context of it.
Yeah. But it always opens with slurping tea.
Oh, don't tempt me with a bloody good time. Sorry, I'm watching the levels on that and I realise I'm being really loud. I'm going, good time. No, I'm not going to do
No,
that.
You're right. You're good. You're good.
That is fine.
It's not,
honestly.
Hang on,
maybe I should shout louder. Maybe I should shout louder. There we go.
Right, we're done with
This is like ASMR. This is like, this. Cy is Belle Delphine, and I am someone else who does ASMR. I don't know any other names.
I'm gonna buy my tap water.
Yeah. People pay me not to give them my tap water.
So,
How do you segue from that? Speaking of tap water, how's your tea?
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah. It's definitely doesn't taste like an ego is bathed in it or anything like that. So, it's not like Belle Delphine, it's tap water. I can confirm. Not that I've had Belle Delphine's bathwater, can I just clarify?
This is it, yeah.
Digging this hole.
I'm going to
Digging a
go
hole.
there, all right? I want to clear my name.
Didn't a guy get like rushed to hospital because he drank?
Yeah, I'm pretty
he
sure
ordered
he
a
did.
It was
bathwater
all
on the internet.
ridiculous.
And
He put it in a
drank
vape
it.
pen and he vaped it, and then he went to hospital.
Oh, of course, it was 2019. So of course, yeah.
secretly, that's the beginning of this coronavirus.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh my god. Right. Thank you, everyone. See you. Okay, bye.
Right, just to give context, we're in Cy and Matt's hotel room.
Cozy hotel room.
Cozy, snug.
Cotel. Cozy
Hotel.
Hotel.
Coachella.
Great podcast, guys. Let's get yours
I
going.
am a hologram. Tea's
Have
lovely.
fun editing this.
This is amazing.
Do you know what the biggest mistake you guys did? You said before this, going, I'll make it freeform as possible. Don't worry about tangents. I mean, Si looked at each other and went, don't worry. That was never
Step
a
into our
concern.
office. Yeah.
We are on
bathwater.
it.
Yes, hello.
Well, so yeah, to give context to that as well, like we very kindly we're DJing in Manchester tonight, and the promoter I think for the club is Deadbolt Club Night in Night People, and I think promoter is the right term, or
it's
people behind Deadbolt were like, yeah, we've got you a hotel sorted, and we were like, wicked cool.
Oh, nice.
So we got a tram in to Manchester, and not from Cardiff. We parked outside of Manchester. Really,
Scurrying
really long
inside
tram.
Manchester.
And this is a really boring story now. There we are.
Let me tell you about that transport story.
And now we're here.
And let me tell you about how efficient the tram system is in Manchester, guys. Okay, because that baby was running on time. But so we get let. We're kind of like, it's above a pub, and we get to the pub, and we were kind of like, "Hello, we'd like a room, please." And they were like, "What?" And then they showed us up here, and they were like, "Oh, right, so you guys DJing, it's gonna be a pretty wild night tonight, is it?" And we were like, "Well." When Deadbolt emailed and said, "Have you got like a rider request for drinks or anything?" We were like, "Is it possible to have cups of tea delivered to a club? Is that possible? Can we do this?"
It wasn't even that. It was, I asked Sean, our manager, I was like, "Can I ask this seriously? Is it weird if I ask for tea on the rider?" Which is like another level. It's like, I just want to make sure it's not weird. And he said it wasn't weird, and I'm going to stick to the fact that it isn't weird. You're not
going like just red M&Ms.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not doing like
that.
a Morrissey. Like
Yeah.
no one's allowed to eat meat in the venue, and no one's allowed to drink tea apart from me. Although I could do that. Swing my power around.
I mean, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
So we mean Sean Smith.
No.
We mean Sean Smith, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So it probably his rider was probably just a mountain of monster.
I wish.
It probably was.
Yeah, his car's just full of it all the time. I feel like he lays it like an egg or something. Do you know what I mean?
You know what, though? Have you seen how much energy Sean has, though? Because like,
We saw him the other day.
Horrifying.
That's how. I bet it runs through his veins. That's how he keeps so like on it all the time. So, power to him. If that's an advert for Monster or Relentless, it's Sean how active he is.
Yeah.
What a sponsor.
It pretty much is that. Like I remember when we podcasted with him, it was we thought, oh, would be nice. We'll bring him a can of Monster. He was already prepared. He was already had one out ready.
Oh, there he is, yeah.
But
I
man's
imagine
on
him
it.
wearing a long trench coat and just like pulling it open, and it's just like all the different flavors.
Do you guys
What flavour would you like?
Do you guys ever play Resident Evil 4? Do you ever play Resident Evil 4?
I didn't know.
Do you say you haven't? Oh,
not, yeah.
It'll be a wasted reference. You know what? I'm not going to give you my reference. No reference for you guys. I was going to make a
We
reference.
have
about
listeners.
All right.
Okay. Everyone who's played Resident Evil 4, there's a guy who you buy the weapons from. He has a big long trench coat. He goes, "What are you buying?" And then you buy guns from him. And now I imagined it was Monster, and I imagined it was Sean. That's it. All right.
Have you seen?
Sorry,
I really like Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Have you seen this whole thing that there's like the place that the coronavirus was meant to have started from? It's got the same logo as like
Oh, what, the
Oh,
umbrella.
I've seen
Okay,
this.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Corona is an anagram of raccoon. as
Yeah, but it's not the
well.
right raccoon, because I was looking at that and I couldn't believe it. But it's wild.
They've
I did
cornered
see,
off an area in the north.
Oh, it's the Wirral, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wirral.
You were.
That's Nora. That's near where my family live. They didn't start it, by the way. Just to clarify. Yeah, killer. Yeah.
I did see in Wuhan, because it's so quarantined, everything is just desolate and empty.
Really?
It's like busy high streets are dead.
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've seen. You know what though? It's
Can't
really
wait
cool
for it to
because
happen
like
here.
I've seen like the Chinese responding because obviously everyone's on lockdown, aren't they, and stuff. And like all the creative stuff that's going on when people are in like lockdown is like crazy. Like people are building like there was like a Mickey Mouse that was built out. I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't tell if it was like shells or something, but like built a Mickey Mouse, and everyone's watching like the hospitals being built, aren't they? Because it's like a live stream, and it's like the most watched show is like the bulldozer making the hospital, which is really sick and really wild. So power to him, very creative.
Yeah, talk about productivity.
Yeah.
I really like the
Passion.
idea as well that like if the coronavirus does destroy the world and then like this is like the only thing that's left over after, it's kind of like some post-apocalyptic wasteland, and then like someone stumbles upon this podcast, like
You know it.
they're listening and they're like, they're making jokes about it.
A bunch of idiots. Why is he
Dead
drinking
people
so
are
much
funny.
tea?
Just becomes 28 days later.
Oh, I wish. No, I don't wish.
You
What am I on
don't
about?
wish.
No, I don't wish that, but good film there.
My cardio isn't up there to kind of run that much.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I struggled from one side of Manchester to here.
Yeah,
I have no hope.
I mean, me and
that's
Si took the trams, which I imagine post-apocalyptic. The tram's not running, so...
They're probably not going to be as punctual as they were today, which let me tell you was very punctual.
Still probably as punctual as the Northern Rail. Like,
Oh.
just
Just got PTSD.
those damn trains. So, let's talk things, Junior.
Do you have to?
I mean,
Alright, never mind.
Yes, please.
maybe.
Thank you.
I mean-
Yes, Junior. We play in Junior. I do big guitar and sing, and Cy does a big drums. And we've also got a Mark who does a bass and sing as well in our band, and he also does a wrestle for anyone.
A wrestle.
A wrestle. He is a wrestler who does a wrestle. And yeah,
Next.
weird dynamic, but works quite well in context. Yeah, it's fun.
It's
fun
still
to
a really funny one explaining that Mark's a wrestler because, like, you say to people like, "Oh, do you know wrestling? Like, like The Rock in that?"
You ever heard of it?
And they go like, "Yeah," and you go like, "Yeah, well, our bass player, he does backflips in tights for a living. That's like, that's him. He's The Rock."
well, that's the thing. It's always like, oh, has he like wrestled The Rock then? And you don't want to be like, no. It's just like, maybe. I mean, I know he hasn't, but
You don't want to
maybe.
shatter
I don't keep
dreams that early, yeah.
I'm not his secretary. I'm not his assistant. I don't know what he's doing. He hasn't wrestled The Rock, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, it is always funny to bring it up to like. It's always my like hairdresser I bring it up to. And they're like, oh, what have you been up to? I was like, the bassist in my band's a wrestler.
Is that every time you go get a haircut?
Yeah.
you go
They
to
stop letting me in. They lock it. I'm like, you said you were open. And it's,
My bassist is a wrestler.
Matt's trying to get like a bank loan.
hey.
So, Mr. Attard, how much do you actually earn? It's like, well,
My bassist
let me
is
tell
a
you this.
wrestler.
Yeah.
So I couldn't
Watch
comment.
WWE.
The Rock.
But yeah, but that's really cool though, and I think that's opened up this whole kind of world to like me because I didn't really know wrestling loads. I never really watched it as a kid, particularly even. And I remember because kind of the way that I got into the band was because I used to play in an old band, and then Mark used one of our songs for a music video for like his wrestling. And I remember getting my mum and being like, "Mom, a wrestler wants to use my music," and it was like the funniest thing. And I remember watching one of his matches, and at first being like, "Oh yeah, wrestling's fake," and then by the end of it being like, "Look out, Mark, he's got a ladder." It was great. So yeah, man, I feel like my kind of horizons have been like massively broadened as being kind of around the wrestling world, and it's such a cool world to be around as well. I think
It's so unique as well.
Yeah.
What other band can say, oh yeah, our bassist is a wrestler? Not
That's
to
quite a
bring
lot when I get my hair cut, especially.
we make up for everyone who can't say it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, the other cool thing as well is how much the sort of wrestling world sort of mirrors the music world, because like down to like the merch, the fans, the sort of like, you know, load in, load out, it's so similar, because it is just like a, you know, a craft in it, like
it's
like
touring entertainment,
touring entertainment stuff. But like, it's cool because one that we always say, which is really, really funny, is that like a big part of wrestling is about being like, what would you say, like cordial, like there's a bit of professionalism, etiquette and professionalism is like a big part of it. It's almost like a little bit of like it makes it a little bit not cliquey, but like, you know, you have to make sure that you like shake hands when you meet people and stuff. So Mark brought that to when we started doing gigs, and it's funny because like we go to a venue, and you know how it is when you go there's like 3 other bands who have their like emo fringes sitting in the corner, don't want to talk to you, and then you got this guy come over and go like, "Hi, I'm Mark," going like this, getting his hand out to get them to shake his hand, and they're like, "Oh, hello, I'm Darren. I play in Dead Bands." And I was, "Oh, cool, man." But it was nice because it kind of like it kind of like broke the ice, and like a lot of people coming out their shell and just sort of like talking, and like, you know, we'd meet loads of cool bands who maybe we wouldn't have had like that kind of conversation with, because like it's hard, isn't it, when you're around loads of people you don't know. You don't want to go up to people and be like, "Hello."
Throw yourself into it. It's
Exactly.
something you sort of got to force yourself into.
Exactly, but and it's nice because then it's like it sort of diffuses the whole situation, doesn't it? And yeah, so that was been a really cool thing that sort of passed over.
I remember when we did the show with you guys.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the promoter like first like went, "Oh, support slots are available for these shows." I was Junior was like, "Right, we're getting on that."
Oh, sick, man. That's cool.
Did you shut up and go, "I thought it was going to be bad. They didn't bring anyone. What's Junior done?"
I think Lund's reply was, "Their bassist is a wrestler."
You're not my hairdresser. Is this?
So like, I remember that, and then we loaded in, and I was like, "Right, we'll just get a coffee, whatever, before the show." And then all of a sudden, Mark pops up, and he's like, "Can I eat my egg mayo sandwich here?" I was like, "Yeah."
That sounds really familiar.
We were really late for that show, weren't we? And we were like bringing all the it was like our drum kit and stuff, wasn't it? And we were really late. We were like,
We were probably later. It's usually like our ongoing trend that we're always fucking late for everything.
Whoa. Because we were doing hours as a power move to be like, yeah, we'll turn up late. What are you going to do about it? But if you turn up later than us, that's like one-upping our power move.
great flex.
What up?
You did 3D chess our checkers on that scenario. So, I didn't know what we did. But yeah, it was a real fun show. I remember it being super fun.
Yeah, Manchester was really good.
I think it was the whole thing of when we spoke to him, because it was first me who spoke to Mark when he came sat down with his Tesco meal deal. I was like, how the fuck are you in shape? You're like fucking eating a Tesco meal deal.
Hey, very nutritious Tesco meal deal. They got chicken in it, I think. No, it wouldn't. He's vegetarian. It's got
Not
cucumbers. I don't know.
But yeah, just in terms of that, it's a band that's obviously a lot more popular in my eyes. Like, you're doing really well. But it's just the fact of how approachable bands still are. You tend to find that though, like with...
Do you know what? Doing this podcast is something I've realised. I'm like, oh, fuck, it's this person. Oh, fuck, this person. Hi, I'm Matt. Oh, they're just a person.
Yeah,
Never mind,
Yeah,
Totally.
that's my favourite thing,
Yeah.
man. Is that,
Yeah,
like,
it's the best thing about it.
everyone is people, and that's really bad grammar, but like
It's people I like that,
do you know what I mean? Like everyone's like, I remember like my first job out of uni. Someone I was like, I had this, it was really weird actually. My first job out of uni, I ended up doing this like event in the Royal Opera House in London, bonkers,
Sick.
and was like on the phone to the head of Virgin Music or something like this. We were trying to book Ed Sheeran or something like mental, and I remember being really nervous. And like the woman who was kind of like seeing me, I guess, or like my line manager, I don't know. She was like, he still goes home and has a naked poo as a treat sometimes. And I was like, love that. And like, if you go into every conversation with that mindset of like, yeah, but you still go home and have a naked poo as a treat every once in a while. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it just makes everyone less scary. So there we are.
That's the equivalent of our handshake is just naked poos. Maybe not the exact switch, but you know what I mean. In theory, in essence.
But yeah, man. So I think that's really cool if you guys have had that. Like,
Because we were like, oh, these are really approachable. This is sick. This makes me feel better. We're at ease. I remember like my old bands, we supported the Main years ago now.
oh, sick.
And we were like, what the fuck, we're supporting the Main in the first place. But then the first thing John, the singer, did was literally he came in our room and was like, do you need anything? Let us know.
Well,
Like, that was literally the first thing. We hadn't even
That's
like put
sick.
our guitars down yet. And he was
Yeah.
like, if you need anything, let me know and we'll sort it. And it was
sick.
like, if you get bored, come in our dressing room and we'll chat to you for a bit. We're like,
Love that.
this is great.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. It does make a difference, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
it also means that like when someone actually turns out to be a dick, it's like double. It's like doozy. Then you're like, wow, you are a pretentious asshole.
You are a knob. But you tend to find that the people who are like lower down the ladder are like less approachable.
Really?
Like when we played shows with like bands like
Drop some names, go on.
I was going to say, is the
I
next
I
section.
can't even. I can't even
The
ring
next
it.
section on the podcast is goes like, name the dick bands. Dun, 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 dun. Junior.
That's the intro.
Yeah, you can take that, cut the beginning, and then just put that in instead. Easy.
And
Our
then
next segment.
randomly slice in a slurping tea halfway through this
Dun, dun,
conversation.
dun, 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 dun. Junior.
But yeah, just to get back to my point.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
dropping some
Sorry.
names.
Yeah.
Sorry, we derailed slightly there.
We went on the like a side junction.
Yeah, we had to stop
back.
off. We had to
We
stop
came
off.
back.
Yeah. You,
We
round the roundabout.
weren't as punctual as the tram system in
God.
Manchester, as we kind of diverted, which the tram system in Manchester does not do.
Yeah, you do tend to find that people who are like in, as I said, lower down the ladder are less approachable, or
Yeah.
like when you have the local shows
yeah.
and everyone's in separate tribes. And like when you
dude,
like even
so
before sound check, and, you know,
lame.
someone's gear there to like the right, and then on the left you've got someone else's gear, and you're like, oh, I can't mingle as much as I wanted
Yeah,
to.
dude, it's so.
It's such a
stupid.
school disco vibe, actually, isn't it? You know, like
Innit?
the boys on the left and the girls on the right, and everyone kind of like no one really wanting to cross the battle lines and be like, "Do you want to dance?" So like, yeah, and genuinely, and I think that's like Matt said. I'm really glad that Mark brought over that whole kind of like, yeah, you just go in and shake everyone's hand.
Everyone
not?
has a naked poo.
Everyone has a naked poo, you know what I mean? But like, and
that's
yeah,
been a t-shirt merch idea.
There you go. Yeah. An earful of naked poo.
A
Dark.
pooful.
Pooful, there you go.
What
But yeah,
percentage would you like of these?
It's our new side project.
but yeah, I'm really glad that we've got that as like a a thing. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it does just break the ice. And as soon as, because what you find is as soon as one person goes over and does it, isn't it? Then generally everyone's just kind of like, oh yeah, safe.
Yeah.
You know, it's much easier.
Yeah, totally.
Because otherwise, if you don't do that, what is representing you as a person is your music, which you feel even more vulnerable about because everyone's passionate about the music. But if you go up and say, "Hi, I'm at XYZ,"
Yeah.
Well, when your music is as bad as ours as well, that's not.
That's what I mean. We overcompensate with being as friendly as possible because the music is so bad that if we were dicks and our music was terrible, we'd have no redeeming
Nothing to
features.
stand on.
Dunk. But yeah, no, completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. I think that's a really good point.
And yeah, that show in Manchester was really good.
Yeah,
And
that
then,
was fun.
Yeah, I've had good shows in Manchester. In Gorilla, that was a really good one.
Gorilla's a beautiful venue.
It was really cool, yeah. And then there was one time where we played event. We were trying before we started recording. We were trying to remember where it was. It was somewhere in Manchester, and we got blocked in. The venue told us like, yeah, just park out the back, and then this guy blocks us in this alleyway. And we come out after the show, and they were like, this guy was like, yeah, you parked in my spot. Give me 50 quid and I'll move my car. And we were like, oh no.
dark alleyway in Manchester.
Yeah, so
That was spooky.
we didn't come back for a long time after.
So is that why you've not parked in the centre of Manchester?
Yeah, I genuinely, I'm not joking. It was part of it.
Yeah. That and the fact that we wanted to experience the very punctual tram system.
Jesus. Oh,
You got a checklist at home. It's like trams in Manchester. Tick.
Yes.
I got to go take a flight from. I don't know. I couldn't even think. I was going to say Staines again, but it's just, Staines Airport.
Junior are now endorsed by Manchester's tram lines.
Yeah. Thank
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you.
you. Yeah. Ah, no, we like Manchester though. It's all right, isn't it? It's a nice place. Yeah.
depends where I'm at.
Yeah.
Sorry to the people in Manchester in the dodgy parts.
Oh.
And on that note, how often do you DJ then?
How often do you DJ, Si? I think I should deflect that straight away, but not often is my answer. But Si.
Well, so the funny thing for me is that I did music tech in uni, and I didn't really use it after uni.
Same.
Yeah, me too.
To the point where you were setting up the podcast gear, and I was like, "Whoa, look at all this stuff!"
Game.
But kind of one of the guys I met through that again. Actually, weirdly, when I first got to uni, and kind of like you're getting into halls, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh. And I was such a shy kid before I came to uni, such a shy kid, and got in the lift with this guy, and just kind of ended up talking to him, and then kind of stayed vaguely in touch with him through uni, and then. Like a year or two after uni finishes, he sends me a message. He's like, "Do you know how to DJ?" And I'd like done it once or twice as like a kind of guest DJ thing for a mate. And he was like, "Because we need someone to come and DJ at Download Festival." And I was like,
Oh.
doggy, what now?" So yeah, man. So like I think the third time that I'd ever DJ'd was at this like silent disco in Download in front of like 2,000 people or something bonkers like that.
What year was this?
Oh, 2013 maybe.
I was there.
Were you? Yeah. So if
So
you
it
heard
was
someone
my
playing Reach by
first
Escom
ever
7, that would have
download.
been me. Yeah.
Yeah, where you go, oh, switch this channel.
Yeah.
That was you.
That's the beauty of a silent disco. I can get away with it. Whereas tonight they're stuck with me. But yeah, man. And then it kind of like that. It was like a silent disco company, and they did like Download and Sonosphere and Reading and Leeds, and so I've done all these like bonkers big like festival things.
Nice.
It was like, I think Leeds was the craziest. I think it was something really silly, like 6,000 people or something in a tent in Leeds, and like I'm just stood there pressing play, pretending that I know what I'm doing. And do you know like the imposter syndrome kind of thing, and you're just waiting for someone to spot that you don't actually know what you're doing. I've just been doing that for like 6 years now. I'm just like, when's someone gonna figure it out?
Yeah, the first name for the junior record was Imposter Syndrome because we were like, what is just, we are really winging this. Jesus
Wear
Christ.
it on the sleeve.
Yeah, man. But yeah, and then kind of from there, I've been DJing at a night in Cardiff called Team Up as well. Team Up Cardiff.
Cool.
Big ups, Team Up.
Shout out, Team Up.
And again, that's all just keeps on escalating, and I keep on doing things, and I'm like, okay.
So is it just play your favourite stuff and have a...
Yeah, kind of.
laugh,
The funny
yeah.
thing is, right? I'm really bad at like discovering new music, which is what like all my friends who are like legit actual DJs. They're always like, "Yo, look, there's
On
new
top of it, yeah.
And I'm like, I literally, do you know Owl City Fireflies?
Yeah.
I discovered that song like a year or two ago, and I was like, guys, this
Listen to this. Like
is
it's Back to
gonna
the
be
Future.
yeah. I don't know if you guys know, but this is gonna be a big
listen
hit.
to this.
Well, listen
Yeah,
to
yeah,
this.
yeah.
You
No,
won't
legit. And so
believe
like, I was
your
like turning
eyes.
up at the club, and I was like playing it. I was like, yeah, and everyone thought I was doing it like really ironically, like, oh yeah, what a throwback. And I was like, no, this is a great modern song for me. Who remembers the Backstreet Boys? And so it's been a good laugh, and I always try to like make a point of like just doing really dumb stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? Because like I think the funniest times that I've had on a night out hasn't necessarily been like, oh, that was a really slick, clean mix that the DJ just did. It's when you're like, I don't know, you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden, like, the Bare Necessities comes on, and you're like, wait, what?
Well, it makes it more memorable, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if you get everything from a DJ set that you expect to get, then it's not really memorable. It's just like, they did what they needed to do.
Yeah, and
That's it.
yeah, and I suppose maybe in the same way as like Junior, and we try to compensate for our music not being very good by being like overly friendly. maybe it's the equivalent of that. Like I'm not a technically very good DJ, but I can play really funny songs that make people go. So
I'm really quirky.
yeah, so we trick people into thinking they've had a good time.
Aha,
That's the
received
key.
once again.
Yeah.
Fooled you.
Those cups of tea we had at the beginning weren't even cups of tea. We're deceiving you.
It was air.
But yeah, man, it's a good laugh though, isn't it, DJ? And yeah, just I'm edging closer to 30 now, and I'm like, oh, crikey, my back hurts. It's very loud in here.
It's past my bedtime.
Yeah, legit. So yeah, no, we're looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be a good laugh.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
We've done it a few times now, where we've done junior DJ sets. Yeah.
Do you do it in the middle of touring at any point, just to like break up?
We've
You know,
talked about it, haven't we?
The regular.
I know
grind
Rome
of
did because
touring.
they were on about it when they were on tour, and I was just like, "That's mental. That you've been knackered."
Well, yeah, I think that is the one thing, because we are not party animals at all. Like, do you know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
genuinely like I say, we love a cup of tea an early night. That's tip top, to be fair.
That was a quick side note. That was my friend's excuse for coming off LSD. I was like, "Oh, so what's LSD like?" He was like, "It was great. Really enjoyed it." I was like, "You still do it?" "No, I like a cup of tea in an early night."
Oh, no, fair enough.
Yeah, man.
Well, we're going to do it in reverse. Once we get bored of having a cup of tea in early light, we just got to start doing LSD. Me and Si are going to turn each other in bed and just go,
Do you
let's start doing some LSD.
yeah.
I can
Si,
double.
quick one. Am I on fire?
Just another question. Did you know our bassist is a...
We don't
Why
have
aren't you
a
cutting
bassist.
my hair?
But you're saying it in reverse.
Oh.
The LSD.
Imagine if I did it just
Yeah.
now, just said it in reserve without even thinking about it.
So, you released your album,
Yes.
your debut album,
Mm-hmm.
back in August. How has the response been?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
man.
good,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Well, no.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a
someone
lot
is-
of pressure because obviously the jump from EP to an album I found is like an absolutely daunting thing.
I think it was the problem is not the problem. The thing was we sat on these songs for like a while. Like they've slowly been sort of like gestating and sort of coming to the point where they were ready to be album songs. And like so, a lot of the songs that made it onto the record, we'd almost like heard so much. We're like, okay, we're done with that song now, and forget that like no one's heard it yet because we haven't recorded it or whatever. Like Day of the Dead, we recorded before everything else. So we had that for ages, and then the rest of the record came about. I don't know if it was daunting. It was definitely like I feel like we had a lot to prove because I think that people were quite comfortable with us being the sort of like slight like Blink clone, bit goofy, bit of like we wanted to kind of sort of like
Sorry, I just didn't want to burp while you...
I think
had
you
a
were
gassy
hiding.
beer.
I was like, oh, where's everyone gone?
Slightly dabbing.
Well, it was like a chocolate rain thing. Like, I knew a wave.
Mike didn't breathe. Taz Sunday. So Taz Sunday couldn't do the record, unfortunately. But
Future collaboration right there.
don't tell me with a good time. But yeah, so like it was It was, yeah, so like I feel like people sort of like count us either a wrestling band or a goofy sort of like slight like Blink Rip-Ops band, and I felt like we're like, no, we got way more strings to our bow than that. And I think that like regardless of whether it translated, like you can't really know, like I feel like it did, but like that we had lots of ideas and things that we wanted to say, and like that was more it, rather than sort of like being worried. It was more sort of like, right, we've got a point to prove now, so let's do it, and like do it how we want to do it, you know. If this was our last record, I've said all I need to say at this point in time, so I think that's important. You don't want to like finish that record with stuff still left to say, you know what I mean? So yeah. I
think it's like you say, there's such like an expectation as well with like an album, and it's kind of like, oh, it's our debut album, we've got to get it right and all this, and we definitely put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do it, which again, like you say, people don't necessarily like notice that almost. Do you know what I mean? Like we're sat there going like, oh my gosh, the font for the album needs to be perfect, and like I think a lot of other people are just going to be like, oh cool, there's the song
I'll
list.
be honest, like I'm very much an outsider, fell out of a band, I don't want to do it anymore, hence why we're sat in a hotel room talking. But to me, I hear, oh, EP to album, this is just some more songs, and because I think either way you're putting your music out there, that's your vulnerability, regardless of what it is.
And I think, but one thing I would say is that there is something about an album which is like, there is a bit of sort of like I don't want to say magical, that sounds too Disney, but like there's something quite nice about the thought of an album, because I love that like people still think of albums, even if whether it's subconsciously or consciously, still kind of think of albums track list structure around how it used to be on vinyl, in that like there's a halfway point. When you use the halfway point, you need a bit of a break, and then it kicks in with something. People still think about that now, the digital albums, you know what I mean? Which I think is really cool, because it means that people are still, for all that talk of like we're moving to streaming, and just like you get like Drake released like Scorpion, and it's like 20 songs that are just meant to be streamed or whatever, no consistency or whatever, but the people still think of it as an album as important, and that like it needs to follow a structure. I think that's cool. I think that's cool, because that's like an extension of your, you know, of yourself as well, isn't it? Like
from EP to album.
100%. And EP is still the same, but it's less to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. But it's more condensed, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Because the way I've always seen it is that whenever it's been like, say for example, Oxbloods, were doing our new stuff, where I see it as like you're chopping off the past EP, and this is like a new era.
Yeah, 100%.
And your art as such has to resemble where you are as people and stuff like that. And then I'm one of them people who's kind of like very critical on myself, where it's kind of like, I need this to be right, I need this to kind of resemble what I want as like.
Well, it's so you can look back on it as well. Like I was listening back to to our Juniorland EP the other night. It was my missus was driving us home, and she has the CD in the car, and I was like, go on, put it on.
Do it.
And
do it.
Do it. And just listening.
It's treason then.
Just listening back to it, I was like, oh, you know, I would have changed this, or I would have, you know, had that there instead, or you know. But it's also really cool to look at it as like a period of time as well, and it's kind of like, that's where we were at that point, and it's you know, without sounding too pretentious, it's like it is like a capsule of you, and you want it to be right, because you want it to be like, you can look back on it and go like, oh yeah, do you know what I mean?
But now that you would do that differently, that's your measurement of growth from where you were to
exactly,
what you do now.
And what I think is interesting as well is that, like, especially with like going from Juniorland to Beautiful Life, is that like Juniorland, a lot of the themes about it was quite sort of interpersonal. It was about like home, it was about moving away from home. I was going to uni at the time, and like my family was moving up to Wrexham away from Cardiff, and I was going to uni, so it was kind of like this weird transition. And I think it was a lot of the themes were about like things like that, and like more conventional pop punky things like breakups, but we didn't really want it to be too breakup sound. It was like songs. It was more just sort of about like reaction scenarios, which, you know, everyone goes through and feels, you know. Whereas when we moved to Beautiful Life, I think for us, we kind of wanted to, we'd encountered a lot of people along the way, lots of friends that we made who, for whether it's like how they identify themselves or how other people perceive them, who have encountered like persecution for being who they are, which to us seems like crazy, because we love everyone like equally, you know. And I think on that one, whereas like, and this sounds super pretentious, but like whereas like Juniorland was about like talking, Beautiful Life was about like listening more. It was about like listening to other people and like trying to sort of be like a, you know, an ally, as opposed to being like sort of like, it's all about me. It's about being sort of like, you know, like when you're feeling at your lowest, or when you're feeling like most alienated, you know, you are not alone. Like you are, you know, you are loved and you are, you know, cherished. And I think that was like an important part of Beautiful Life. I mean, we're all soppy losers as well. So like, you know, we love all that stuff. Yeah. So I think it was important to like say that, because whether people, you know, whether it's sort of conveyed as like a bit too like sickly or whatever, I feel like we said what we needed to say, and like, it was cathartic. It was a cathartic experience.
When you're writing, do you take these themes before even approaching writing? How does that work?
So usually in terms of like the process of like the songs coming together, I'll come to the guys with like a skeleton of a song, and the usual sort of band thing, like skeleton of a song, flashes it out, goes from being a Matt demo to a junior song, you know, and like it becomes like a junior track from there. I think usually what happens is it starts off a lot broader, and it sort of like narrows down,
filters
as it goes through the different stages and stuff, because there's interesting sort of shifts that happened in the sort of junior writing process. Like for example, so our opening song Girls and Boys, which we knew was going to be like, we wanted to be like this big kids choir on it, big Biffy Clyro-esque, you know. Originally the chorus for that was going to be from the song Playing the Part. The chorus for Playing the Part was going to be the chorus of Girls and Boys, but like it didn't like flow right. Like we were obviously happy with both parts, but it was like, something else needs to be here. It doesn't feel right. And like, it's funny that you go through these things, and then we took the chorus of Girls and Boys and thought to ourselves, what does this even mean? What do we mean by this? Like, I took the chorus of Playing the Part, like, what do we mean by this? And like, it was we knew that it was going to be a song about like, it's similar in terms of theme, and that it's about like being a friend to someone who feels like they don't have anyone, things like that. But they had two separate messages. So like, once we made it into its own song, then it got a bit like fine-lined and grows and becomes things. So I think that's basically how we approach it. It's sort of like, it kind of manifests in its own sort of way once you sort of take it and becomes a junior song as opposed to a demo. Yeah, I'd say so.
I think that's the best bit of it. Like when it comes from being a demo to all these like different collaborations and different bits come into the song, and then it becomes this like different version of what you originally had. I enjoy the growth when you record something.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh yeah, and actually because with Juniorland again, and like things we do differently, we massively rushed the recording, because it was kind of like, we were going in and being like, right, let's finish writing this verse now. And, you know what I mean? It was very kind of like, we need to do this right now. Yeah. Whereas with Beautiful Life, I remember we did a bunch of
the spectrum.
We did it a really weird way around as well, because we've all got such mad schedules as well. So like Mark obviously with WWE. Yeah. I tour with another band called Novo Amor.
I play lots of Apex Legends.
Matt plays Apex Legends all the time.
Full-time streaming.
But it meant that it was kind of like actually getting the three of us together to actually sit and record 13 songs was like, cool, crikey, that was tough. Yeah.
How does that work in terms of with Mark and Mark's schedule?
We were discussing this before we...
Is it difficult, or is it...
Like... well, yeah, in terms of all of us getting together at any given point, because it is, you know, Mark would be away for 6 weeks doing tape-ins and training and all this, and then I might then be away the following 6 weeks then touring with Novo, and then it kind of means that 12 weeks have gone by. You know, it's been
but that's kind of the same with every other band. Like, with like our band, like there's moments where we've not seen each other in like a good 4 weeks, and it's like, this surely isn't right.
But but I think that's the cool thing though, man. And like what's nice is that like being in a band is such a unique thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, well, it happens with playing songs, doesn't it? Where like, you know, when you meet up with a mate you haven't seen for years, but then it's just like nothing's
just clicks.
No time has passed at all. It's kind of like that with like, if we don't practice together for a while and then, you know, we get together in a room and it like everything just comes back on muscle memory and stuff. Yeah. So that's really cool. But yeah, like, but also it's one of those cases as well where actually, as busy as all of us are, it all kind of feeds into itself as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to have that separation, because then when you're back, your focus is
But also, you know, Mark uses a couple of our songs for like ring entrance music, for example. So actually, Mark being away doing wrestling, it means we're not able to be recording an album physically, but we're still actually raising the profile of Junior in general, which is cool.
How was that for you recently, by the way? Of 1 minute.
Sorry, they're coming for Sai.
Coronavirus.
We parked illegally in Sale, and now they come to get us.
Run!
Yeah, you were the theme for NXT, weren't you, in Cardiff?
Yeah. Brick by brick.
So is that still hitting you like, Mum,
Like,
I'm a theme for wrestling?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But do you know the funny thing, man, is, and like, so I'm getting married in like 3 weeks as well, right? And like everyone keeps on being like, yo, how are you feeling about it? And I'm honestly, there's so much like silly stuff happens in my life, right? Like really silly stuff that it's just kind of like I genuinely don't really process it until it's kind of happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, I mean, dang, like 2018 we went to Indonesia to play one show with No More.
Whoa.
And it was like, and again, that's really, really silly. And I can look back on that now and be like, lol. But like, and genuinely, everyone was like, I mean, have you prepared? Have you done this? And I was kind of like, no, I've got so much other stuff that I need to worry about until I get to that. Yeah. And then when it was actually happening, I was like, whoa, cool. Yeah. And then it was kind of the same with this as well. It was kind of like, oh, that'd be really sweet if that comes off. We've got an awful lot of other stuff to deal with in the middle. Yeah. And then it was kind of happening. And then all of a sudden, me and Matt are sat in the Motorpoint Arena and it's just kind of like, oh, there's our song. Like, there we are. That's us on the big screen. That was funny. Yeah. So, yeah, it was really sick, man. It was really, really cool. And like, we're very lucky to kind of have that opportunity, you know, and it's just great as well because it means Triple H has definitely heard our song,
which was the goal all along.
That's the main reason.
Completed.
Yeah.
We're done now.
Junior, I've now broken up.
Yeah. Whoa.
The thing was as well, when we did Brick by Brick, it was funny because like we like to have like our like soft songs and our piano songs and blah blah blah, but we're like, we want some heavy songs on it too because we do love riffing. We do love riffs. And Brick by Brick, it was like, I'm glad it worked out because we almost wrote it thinking it'd be like an NXT theme. We didn't think about approaching it as an NXT theme. It was like
in the future.
Yeah. Well, genuinely, it was like, if we were going to write like an NXT theme, what would it sound like? And it's like, oh, it's going to sound like this. And then then later on we knew we were getting the kids choir. It's like, oh, if we get the kids choir singing on this, that'd be so sick. And then it just ended up, you know, thing. So that was a good sort of like,
into
it
almost didn't happen though, did it? Because we had all the demos and we went up and had a day in Steel City with Phil Gornell.
Oh, nice.
And
shout out Phil.
Just kind of
big up Phil. This,
and we just kind of went through all the songs with him and he's the man, dude. I love him so much. He's like so good. He introduced us to this country pop star called what's he called?
Sam Hunt.
Sam Hunt. Yeah.
I don't even like it. I think it's terrible.
But... Yeah, if you see Phil, get him to play you some Sam Hunt and it will blow your mind. And
I'll be leaving if country music is played in that studio.
No,
do you like country music?
Mate, you will. I will show you after this podcast is done.
It's awful.
But anyway, here's the separation.
Yeah. But so we had this like time to just go through all the songs with Phil and like we'd kind of written it off and we were kind of like, I don't know if we'll actually use it for the record. Blah, blah, blah. And then it was kind of a last. He was like, yeah, cool. Is that what you got then? We were like gone through everything and we were like, well, there's this one other one. And he was like, that should definitely be on the record. And we were like, oh yeah, cute. And then it got, we worked on it more and fleshed it out. Yeah.
Sometimes you need that outsider perspective to
you
do realise how good this is.
Especially since we spent we spent very little time on Junior Land that we were overcooking this one a bit in terms of like we were so in our heads about it to be someone come in and be like, no, you should use this one. It was like, oh I'm glad you said. Jesus Christ.
Thank God.
But yeah, no, it's a cool song. Fun to play live as well. Fun.
It is, yeah, it's sick.
So how did it become the theme for NXT? Did you get approached and get to choose a song, or were they just like, "Oi, Junior, we want this"?
Hey, I'm Trips. And,
I only answer to Trips. Before I do a pedigree on you, say yes.
I don't really remember.
I think.
Was it Mark?
I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming. I vaguely remember that Mark was going to like pitch it to WWE. And we were like, if we make sure all our ducks in a row before we get to that point, we've got more of a chance of it landing.
Yeah.
And I think that we lined up them ducks. And it just kind of like, it kind of was. I wanted it to be like a cool story, like Vince McMahon coming and go like, you're right, kid. You got something. But I think it was literally just like, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, we'll use this on thingy. It was going to be used on this date. And we're like, oh, cool. Thanks, man.
And
then it just ended up happening. So
hey, thanks, man.
Cheers, man.
Did you know that our bass player is actually a wrestler?
So, before you finish cut my hair, do you know that
Vince McMahon is cutting your hair?
He's a bit crazy these days. So I wanted to be a really sort of like romantic story or like really interesting story, but I genuinely think it was actually quite boring. It was obviously sick when it happened and we were like, yes, this is the best, but
here's the other really wild thing as well, and again it's a shame that Mark's not here to tell all these stories himself, and it's kind of a little bit secondhand, but it's also almost funnier kind of hearing it, because like when Mark was with TNA and Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins was like, was he a writer on TNA, or was he like higher up or something?
He's very involved in it, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's
he
like
was like a
super
manager.
involved.
Oh, yeah.
He was like a manager
What?
or something like that. Yeah, I know, it's
your man
wild,
from
isn't
Smashing
it?
Pumpkins was like super.
Imagine how we
into
felt.
it. So this was like the first like big wrestling company that Mark was with.
Yeah.
And there was just all these situations where he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ask Billy Corgan for some advice on how he gets signed. to me, that's obviously like, hello, Mr.
the fuck
Corgan,
are you doing?
Like, can we, yeah. How does this
Billy
work?
Corgan.
But in actuality, is it possibly just Mark just being like, oh hey Billy, how's it going, man? Oh, I've got 5 minutes over lunch, like, and genuinely
Yeah.
possibly is like that, and
Because even Billy Corgan has a naked poo sometimes.
he does
Yeah,
that.
that's
He
all
loves
it's
it, you
about.
know.
He
But
hasn't
like,
said it.
Another T-shirt idea.
we know.
Billy Corgan poo.
And
We love Billy Corgan.
there's some sort of joke about him going wee.
Great
But
meme.
thank you. but yeah, so there's things like that, and like we did a video for a song called Fall to Pieces, and like Matt Hardy was in it, and
Saw
again,
that, yeah.
I'm sure that just kind of came about with like Mark just being like, oh hey man, would you mind
Yeah.
just being in our video for 5 minutes? And he was like, yeah, cool. Like,
That's mental.
and which to us is obviously just like,
Matt
what?
Hardy's character at that time, broken Matt Hardy. I cannot picture him going, yeah, sure, cool.
It's-
It would be so
Yeah, it was so much more
overpowered,
flamboyant
yeah.
than that, I'm sure. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, we don't know, because Mark was like, "Oh, I'll ask Matt Hardy," and we're like, "Yeah, sure.
yeah, go on.
Ask
All
Matt
right.
Hardy to be in
Because
our music video."
The way
Cool.
I picture it is Mark Andrews just walks in the back and it's like WWE 2002 SmackDown versus Raw game where everyone's just chilling in the locker room.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy.
And then like a 16-bit cane comes in and
Yeah.
like, hits someone with a 16-bit flower pot over their head. Yeah.
It's so funny as well because we have a conversation where we're like, we're not going to be a wrestling band. Let's just constantly make an effort not to be a wrestling band, and then we're like, should we get Matt Hardy in the video? What's he doing in the video? I want to see.
What should we theme the music video? That's
I know.
Do people know that we got the wrestler yet? I've mentioned it to everyone. Yeah, so
You've got
yeah.
to make a shirt that says our bassist is
Please.
God.
Please.
Imagine. Yeah.
But yeah, wrestling.
It's amazing how like crucial timing is with like music now, like with bands, like in terms of like publicizing stuff, promoting stuff. Is it? Do you think there's a lot of pressure in terms of being a musician now than it was like say 10 years ago?
I think that I think it's a shame that like a lot of success does stem from being in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
More so than ever, I think. Just because the industry is so saturated, and it's a shame because you see like really talented bands not getting their look in just because they maybe don't fit a one particular like mold, or
Yeah.
like they don't seem fully marketable, or genuinely just like they don't know the right people. And it's like we consider ourselves super lucky because of Mark's Wrestling and like the connection and things like that. I do, but yeah, it is a shame when you see like bands who really want to be successful, and you see like bands who are successful, and you're like, you could do a way better job than they could. Like I see your band happen and do things, and like you guys could do way better than them. But like it's you can't. I don't think you can be like angry about it or like
No.
It's just kind of like it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's just like I think that as long as it's genuine, as long as you genuinely enjoy doing it, I think that's fine. No matter how long the journey is, doesn't really matter. As long as you're genuinely making it for the love of making it, I think it doesn't
I
matter.
think if you focus on the product that you're putting out, that's the main focus. But it is
100%.
very easy to get bogged down in a sense.
100%.
They're doing this and they're doing that.
100%.
Yeah, I'm very guilty of that. I am
It's such an
terrible
easy
for
trap,
that.
But the good
isn't
thing
it?
is you admit it and you're honest about it.
Yeah, I'm terrible for being the person to go like I proper beat myself over that. Or like if we do like a gig and like we're the only person who had like a bad review that night, and it's like, man, I proper like.
Well,
you have to leave me alone for a good few days. Just to kinda-
The album, the first couple of reviews of Beautiful Life, slated it. It was like, and we were like, it's not for them. But like, yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
this, like Matt says, it's kind of like why you're making it, because there's some music out there that is literally just made to get on the radio and be number one and make loads of money. And there's actually nothing wrong with that.
That works,
If
yeah.
that's the goal of that
That's
song,
that purpose.
is to just make loads of money. And the other thing is, like, you know, selling out isn't necessarily a dirty word. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like if you're
We'd
at
love
a
to
point,
sell out.
we'd love to sell out. If anyone wants to, but if you're making music, or even if you're at a point where you're like, which we're kind of dancing around, of like, there's almost like, you know, you need to take this jump to be able to commit to doing all of this touring or playing all these shows or working on a record or whatever, but you can't sustain yourself.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's that balancing act of like, I either have a full-time job and I'm able to live, or I'm on tour doing the thing that I really want to do.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's like, if you make a record, which I hope is what kind of Beautiful Life comes across as, is like just us just making art, making something that we you know, it's stuff we want to say and what we want to hear, and doing cool stuff. Then, like, ultimately, if it gets bad reviews, if nobody listens to it, it's not the end of the world. It's like we've still achieved what we set out to achieve. If we'd set out to make an album that was purely just to make loads of money, and it didn't make us loads of money, then we could be like, no. But like, that's not what we set out to achieve. So what I'm saying is, the fact that we've made no money out of it is great.
And it was
Perfect. It's fine. It's what I wanted. Yes.
This is my goal.
yeah.
I watched. I don't know. I ended
I
up
can't
watching this
believe
last
you're
night.
admitting this.
So
Watch me the show.
my missus decided to watch the new Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix last night.
Oh, it's got good reviews. It's got
good reviews. So there's a bit in it where she gets a call to say that she hasn't got a Grammy nomination for her album, right?
What?
So
What year is it? Like what
so
album?
this is for Reputation.
Oh, right, okay,
I think
yeah.
it
She
is.
didn't deserve a Grammy for that.
It's rubbish record. What you're saying?
So-
99's great.
I was like, but the whole thing of why would you be bummed out over the fact you've not got a Grammy nomination? The fact of that you're at that point and that you're writing music and that you're at the position where you're able to do whatever the fuck you want, that should be enough. You should be content with that. That shouldn't mean shit that someone else's opinion thinks that you don't deserve that.
Yeah, you know what though? It's interesting because I've also feel like it's like, you know, we see it when like you see bands who like break up or like are constantly at each other's throats and things like that. I was like, guys, you're literally making music and making money off it. Like, can't you just like sort it out amongst yourselves? Like, can't you just enjoy it? You know, the fact that you're in a really privileged position.
Yeah, take a step back.
Yeah, Taylor. All right, if you do 1989 again, maybe you will get another Grammy nomination, Taylor. No, but like, one thing I would say is the only thing I would come to Taylor's defense, but is like, I imagine, as well as like when you get that big, Tay-Tay, when you get that big, you can. I imagine, obviously, you can do whatever you want if you're Taylor Swift, but there are way more cogs turning, and things in place, and genuinely, the difference between getting a Grammy nomination and not could be enough for like you not getting that sold out tour, or you not getting, and then your booking agent losing faith in you, and it is like a steady because there's so many moving parts.
And then there's pressure from so many other people.
So
I imagine at that level,
it's business at that point as well.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's
brand.
It's under point. It's not making your sales projections if you're a big company. It's the same thing.
Crazy,
it's like you're not making, which is,
you're not securing our investment in you.
Yeah,
And that's-
100%.
There's pressure there.
and
that's
people at
wild,
the top
isn't it?
don't give a shit about you know, your well-being or your you know, your
mental
music,
health
or your mental health,
which
or your
is
artistic.
terrifying, really.
Oh yeah,
and that's the
horrific.
goal we're all working
Yeah,
towards,
come
boys.
on.
Yeah.
Crush us.
Yeah, but yeah, again, and that's kind of the thing again, isn't it? Where like when you're at that point, that is your job. Then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think as much as we're all looking at like, because I you know, anyone who's been touring as well, like touring is like the thing that I was always like, oh my gosh, I would love to get to go on tour and do a tour. Now that I've done a bunch of touring, I'm still super grateful and I still love it, and it's the best. It's really, really sick. But it is also hard work. Like you're and that's on a really small scale. If you're on a scale where you are like, well, like
Tay-Tay.
Metallica level or Tay-Tay level, or you know, the two only
You know,
artists that matter.
Co-headline.
But if you're at that level, and it's like cool, you're on tour for 8 months this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Metallica is bonkers, mind.
Oh,
Have you
it's
seen
ridiculous?
No, it's
stuff
mad.
They tore like a washing machine. It's sick. It's like
And they've always done it since, like, I remember looking at a documentary about the Black Album, and it was like a 2-year tour, back to back.
yeah.
What?
And Lars still isn't good. He's had so much time to practice. Hey,
We went
You
there.
know-
We went there.
I mean, I'm not the first one to say that Lars has a questionable ability on drums, okay? I can't play the stuff he plays, but you're in Metallica. Come on, Lars.
Hey, that business model's worked for.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You
I
know?
mean, I can't knock what they're doing.
Their
They're
business
obviously,
model
they've obviously
is
figured it out,
solid.
haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I put a snare and a crash together is because of him.
Oh, well, there
Yeah.
you go. I
You're welcome.
think that Sai should
Thank you,
stab
Lars.
a knife into his snare because I'm really inspired by Saint Anger. So that's also make it as horrible sounding as possible. So I quite like Saint Anger. Actually,
Yeah, I was going to
Alright?
say, I like that
Yeah.
album too.
I don't like Metallica at all, but I don't mind Saint Anger. No, I hate Metallica. I hate them. I love
Because you
Tay
love Napster.
I love illegal downloading of music.
It's one of my
Shout
favourite
out to
pastimes.
I couldn't think of something better than legally downloading Metallica's music. Don't quote me, please. Can I have a picture of me in black and white saying I would love nothing more than downloading Metallica's music
Is it
illegally?
even possible to illegal download stuff? Like, because you got so much like availability in terms of like streaming services.
Well, that was their answer to it, wasn't it? It's their business model's failing. Once something you can get for free, you can't then go money.
Oh yeah, but here's the dumb thing though: is that everything is switching to streaming now, and it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
frustrating. It's gone from like, oh cool, Netflix was like $5.99 I think when it started, and you were
Video
like,
and audio,
yeah, that's
yeah.
all right, yeah, cool, yeah, no worries. And again, Spotify, I'm sure they used to have like a light package as well. It was like a $5, and it was like, yeah, cool. Now everything is like a $10 a month, and it's kind
Yeah.
of like it goes from, oh cool, I've got Spotify and Netflix and Amazon Prime
And Disney.
and Disney Plus
And
now,
Apple.
and
Yeah.
Apple now, and Photoshop even is on subscription. It's just like
Yeah.
suddenly you're spending like 50-60 quid a month
On just
On
on
subscriptions.
subscriptions.
Yeah.
Which was it you telling me actually, Matt, that like there's been more of an increase in illegal
Yeah,
downloading
illegal
now?
downloading because they've split their. It's happening a lot with like streaming services, like video streaming, isn't it? At the moment,
Yeah, yeah.
because Netflix has lost a lot of its license because of Disney and
Yep.
Disney
Yeah.
Plus and
Yep.
HBO and things like that, and the spread in the cost. And what was originally, a very sensible answer to illegal streaming has now become another problem because capitalism is too damn greedy. Here's the thing, right?
Strap
And this
in.
is- Yeah, here's the thing. All right, I'm gonna say it, but like and this is what annoyed me about the whole thing with Metallica. Not that I was thinking about it at the time when I was like fucking like 5, but like what annoys me is that like it's almost like aiming the anger at the wrong place because like you're getting angry
Saint
at the
anger.
users who
Saint
are,
anger.
You're getting angry at the same anger something.
Napster.
The anger's going in the wrong place
Yeah.
because like you see people who are at the top of the music industry, like executives and like in the same like who are making as much money as like a hedge fund manager, like more money than we'll ever see in our lifetimes, and they're going, how dare you download their album illegally? We back Metallica on this. Like we think that these people, it's like if you took a 10% pay cut, I know that sounds extreme, if you took a 10% pay cut, you could sell those albums for like 20p, or you could give something back to the music community. Artists could be paid way more for existing and wouldn't have to worry about that album sales. They could just get paid for existing. But because at the top you are hoarding all the money, you're making the people who just want to enjoy the music and not have to pay extortionate prices, that doesn't seem fair at all. Like, why are you doing that, Metallica, you bunch of bastards? Right, you got enough money, all right?
Like
so that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's like the thing with. Do you ever see the 30 Seconds to Mars documentary?
yeah, with Artifact, yeah.
And they
it's-
got sued $30 million, and then it was like the
Such
whole breakdown of how it works with like a record label and
Yeah.
how
Oh,
you
yeah.
get a cut. And there's the whole thing
Because everyone gets paid before the band.
yeah.
Yeah, which is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's a
So
percentage
ridiculous.
cut for digital packaging or something
For-
like that, even though you can't package something digital.
Yeah, it's
Like
it's
Ticketmaster's
mental.
admin fee. I'm filling out the information. How can I pay an admin fee?
yeah.
I want a cut.
And like, as much as like I jest about Metallica being Metallica, it's not Metallica, but like it's the people who like owning the record labels who are making it seem like it's that way. It's like, come on, guys, really? Imagine,
those guys.
screw those particular guys. Imagine if like everyone, and it was like answering what I was saying before about like I wish that like artists who weren't getting the same recognition could make a living as a band. Imagine like if Spotify decided that per stream you were going to get 10 times more per stream than you do now.
Yeah.
Small bands could make a living off
Absolutely,
being streamed, and it's completely viable. There's
That's
no
why-
reason it's not viable.
Bandcamp is still so good for
100%.
upcoming
And
artists.
there's so much good music out of
Yeah.
it. It's not a coincidence that like SoundCloud and Bandcamp is like thriving with music, is because people are flocking to there because people still want to buy the product, but they don't want to feel like they're ripped off. You know, it's
Exactly.
yeah.
And then labels have done something called a 360 deal.
Oh
where it's
yeah,
like,
they're horrific.
you know that music we invest in you. We want to take some of your merch sales as well.
That's an
instead.
artifact as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's they
it's
say about
bad.
360 deal. They do it to young
stupid.
bands, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because bands just go, oh, getting signed.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
There's that
Because
signature.
like when you're younger, you're like, oh, that's the dream to get signed. Like when I was like my naive 13-year-old self, I thought, oh, it'd be easy because everyone's like Paramore and they can get signed at 16, and it's like, nah, mate, it doesn't happen like that. And it, like the whole goal is to get signed. Like you can only be self-efficient as such when you're signed. You can only do that when you're signed. But now there's this whole thing of where obviously bands start their own labels, like Shikari, The Main, stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's quite clear you don't need a label to do
No,
that.
you
Not
can
at all.
do it all. It's all punk and...
Well, and so this is the other cool thing. Just to talk about us for a minute. No, but this is the other cool
Ooh,
thing.
sorry.
No, but
God.
like we've been really, really lucky at this point that Junior is such a self-sustaining machine, and like we don't make money off of it, but we're not in a position where we're genuinely in a position, where if someone came and went, we'll sign you and we'll pay you this much for the album, we could genuinely could look at it and go, well, actually, we reckon we could possibly do better than that, and that's a really nice one thing that's kind of slightly better about the kind of the streaming world, I think, is that it is easier for small bands to make, even if a little bit of money, like because we get, you know, like again, it's not at all enough to make a living off, but like a little payment from our streams every month, and that's like cool, you know. And I think, but again, if they were to do it with an actual,
then, isn't it?
You're doing the dream,
and that's like a really cool place to be, and I think it's also knowing what, like I say, what your goal is. If your goal is to sell out and make loads of money, then cool, okay, whatever. But like, if your goal is to just make something cool, and then you happen to be able to then invest that back in yourself, and that's what I think. I'm guessing here now, but like, bands like Shikari and stuff. They've obviously like achieved a certain level of success within themselves as a band, and then been able to go, cool, let's invest that into everything that a record label would do for us. And
it's just
that's
the team
sick,
surrounds you, isn't it? Essentially, isn't it? I feel like a label is just like the team that surrounds you and the contacts that you have from that. So if you just surround yourself with a really good team, you're in.
I think it's also very important to, I think bands, musicians, they forget about the whole point of networking is so important. Like 100%. Actually going out to try and speak and connect with people that you want to know and talk to and inspired by.
Go back to the whole thing of being cordial as well, isn't it? Being like nice, approachable, and things like that. It's not a coincidence that like, you know, lots of these bands who are really successful turn out to be really nice people, because they probably made contacts being good people, you know?
9 times out of 10, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly, Which could
You
be
too.
like, it's easy to sort of be bogged down by like, oh, I don't know anyone, but it's also like, you can go out and meet people.
You can speak to people.
It's a good start to be nice, isn't it? A good
Go
start to be
approach
like nice
people,
people.
It's like the whole thing, like when you get people who from other bands just add you on Facebook, but then they don't create a conversation.
No, it's like,
they just invite you
like,
to the
hello,
page.
friend one. I want you to check out my band. Like that, you know. It's like,
And it's to create the conversation. I think that's the great
100%.
thing with this podcast, is the whole fact that we're having the opportunity to speak to wonderful people like you two who
And you can sit in the hotel rooms.
we can sit in the hotel rooms who we would probably have an opportunity to do this any other time.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Yeah.
not like a full that we'd come into your hotel room any other time, like, but
Why don't you invite us to your hotel room?
God, welcome to the podcast. Mommy's back again.
we're here. I'm in bed.
Don't be silly, honey. There's no such thing as podcasts. Oh, thanks, Mum.
Thank goodness for that.
Welcome back after our break.
Good.
But yeah, I think this is enabled us to actually create that conversation with people where it's just not going, what's your favourite song? Or it's actually having a conversation. Like actually creating that, I don't want to say bond. Bond's a horrible word.
We bonded.
Bond with me.
But yeah, you get the point of where
you'd
it's
never be
creating that
able.
opportunity.
You'd never be able to see anyone else slurp tea in a one-to-one interview.
I mean, I do actually offer on my Patreon a service of watching me slip tea.
But and
Yeah.
It's really
100%,
nice
yeah.
though, isn't it, as well? And it still happens actually, yeah, where like we'll go to Glasgow and there'll be someone that we met and just got talking to at a show. Or like, yeah, there's a couple that we stay with every time we go to Scotland, and like our friend's band Havelock, like we kind of ended up accidentally staying with them one night on one of our early tours, and now they're our like best buds, and we divert out of our way to go and stay with them sometimes,
nice.
just so we can hang
That's
out
good.
and go and have breakfast. And yeah, it's sick, man. It's really cool. That's
Yeah.
That's the good side of touring, isn't
yeah,
it?
and it's the great the nice part about being a smaller band as well, because the bigger it gets and the more machine and industry it kind of becomes,
Yeah.
the less of that you get to have, because you're doing more like, well, it's more like a business, isn't it, rather than
Yeah.
just broing out, you know.
Growing out.
That's what we're
Broing
all
down.
about, yeah.
Down. So it's worth mentioning that you have a mental health charity,
Yeah, man. Yeah. So,
which is really cool. Like,
thanks, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
Thanks. Yeah, it's yeah, that's another one that's all just kind of escalated a lot. Yeah, it's all,
It's out of control.
keeps getting out of hand. So it's called Heads Above the Waves. If anyone's interested, Heads Above the Waves, hatw.co.uk. And what kind of started out as the idea of, well, actually, what originally started out as the idea of telling people like about my experience, how like I'd struggled with self-harm when I was a teenager, and it was kind of accidentally playing drums was the thing that ended up kind of helping me through that, and like finding pop punk music as well, actually, to be honest, and like getting into all these bands really was like a big turning point for me, and was kind of like, yeah, let's share that with everyone. And I was like, everyone should play the drums, and then realized that actually that's not going to work for everyone, and
No.
there's a bunch of different things that are going to work for different people. But also, yeah, the other kind of like original idea was that we were going to make band merch that was going to help fund the Samaritans, and we applied for some funding to do that, and they were like, it sounds like a nice idea, but we'd fund you to set up your own like organization rather than supporting an existing one. So we were like, okay, we'll set up an organization. And then that kind of went from, yeah, cool, we'll share people's stories on the website, to oh, do you do school workshops? And we were kind of like, not really, but we could. And now like that's the main thing we do. We're in schools, like, well, yeah, correctly, we're in like 3 or 4 schools a week at the moment, and just kind of taking in these ideas of like music and art and like creative ways of dealing with stuff, and it's a really nice. It's a labor of love. Do you know what I mean? But it's a nice labor of love to have, you know, and it's cool to feel like. It's hard to not fall into all the cliches, isn't it? But like to feel like it's maybe having some sort of impact, that if when I was in that dark place, if I'd kind of met and heard the stories and the stuff that happens that we hopefully are putting out through Heads, then I'd like to think that would be a nice turning point. So yeah, I'm really proud of everything that we're doing with Heads, to be honest. It's myself and my business partner Hannah Morgan, and yeah, it's been it's been another thing that means that I'm busy when we should be doing junior stuff as well.
So how long's that been running then?
So that's been since 2013.
Wow.
Which I think was actually when I joined junior as well, or was that 2014?
2014 it was.
Yeah. So
Decided we hated you in 2013. But well, we're going to 2014.
I was like, hey, he's proved himself now.
Yeah,
He is worthy.
you got it, kid.
Yeah. And
Keeps
actually,
up in that tea and join in a year. Also our bassist.
I was cutting Matt's hair one day, and I was like, that sounds good. And yeah, man. So like it's again, it all keeps escalating, dude. From like, we used to just have like 3 t-shirts in a little suitcase, and we'd rock up at local shows and be like, hey, let's talk about mental health, and then use the money from t-shirts to make like flyers and stuff. And now we've got like a full-blown shop in Cardiff, and it's all a little bit silly, and we go to like festivals and stuff. So if you guys are at 2000 Trees, we're hoping to be there again this year. We've been there the last like few years.
We're hoping so.
Yeah,
We wish.
man. Yeah. Me too. So and I think that's really tied in nicely with the kind of the themes on Beautiful Life as well, in terms of being an ally to someone when they need it, and I guess the idea of like, you're not alone, and like you're not your mistakes, and
Yeah.
it can and does get better. So that's been really important to me as well. So
Yeah.
we've got that across. So yeah.
What do the workshops consist of? What does it entail? Is it like having open-ended conversations with?
Yeah, kind of.
People,
So
yeah.
like it's funny because we always try to add structure, but like there's that whole thing of, you know, don't work with kids and animals, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it never goes to a plan. So we go in with this kind of idea of like, this is the structure we think we're going to have, and then it actually turns out that we've met some amazing kids, man. And honestly, there's like so many like just really, really bright kids, and you just want to be like, oh, dude, like I know exactly how this feels, and I know that in a couple of years' time you are going to be such a legend, and you're going to look back on this and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel so much like better, and I'm so you know proud I've made this like journey on my, you know. So we tend to do like a conversation, like a coping technique, or you know, a thing that's helped someone else in the past. So we do an art one, a music one, we do a drumming one, writing and meditation, and just give these kids, I say kids, you know, it's young people, it's just give them a space to talk and kind of be, again, coming back to the theme of Beautiful Life as well, actually, I suppose, is that like it's just to listen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the time people are going for help and they're kind of not really being heard, or they're going to their doctor and the doctor's just doesn't have time necessarily to actually sit and listen and work through what's going on, and just go like, oh, okay, here's some medication, or you'll get over it, and things that aren't really super helpful when actually people just need to be like heard and valued, I guess. So even if that's all that we ever actually do in the session is to just sit and listen to these people, then you know, hopefully that's making some sort of difference as well, man. So.
Yeah, totally. I think it's good that it's becoming more aware of charities like this. Like I went to watch a couple of weeks ago Noah Gunderson, if you're familiar.
Spoken word guy?
No, acoustic artist, American fella.
Oh, then.
But anyway, he had I forget the charity. I feel horrendous. I can't remember this now. To write
Love in Our Arms.
Yes,
Yeah,
they had the founder of it at the show,
sick.
basically going on tour with him to kind of spread the word, and they
Amazing.
collaborated with Noah to do like some T-shirts and stuff like that with some of like Noah's lyrics.
Love that. Yeah.
But I think it's good that stuff like this is now becoming more advertised, like more aware, because from people I've known who've passed away due to like mental health issues and stuff like that, it's so important now. Like.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where from the very beginning of Heads, we've always said like it's so weird, isn't it, that we like, have sex education in school, and as much as we all go like when the video comes on, like it's still such a given, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, the talk, the birds and the bees, blah blah blah. Same with like, you know, everyone has the kind of the don't do drugs kind of talk.
Yeah,
but we don't really have and the education system in general is somewhat flawed in that we don't have a kind of here's how to deal with stuff that's difficult, and the really hard part is then when it's kind of that has to come from home, and if you know, if your parents haven't been taught that and their parents haven't been taught that, then you just end up in this cycle of like no one really knowing how to cope. And it's hopefully the case that like with sex and drugs and stuff as well, the more you talk about it, the kind of less taboo it is, and the more obvious and easy it is to actually go and ask for help. Yeah,
cut down that stigma around it.
I think it's like when like parents are like stuck with the stigma of like, oh, just man up, or just deal with it, or like I'm an absolute sucker for if something really bothers me, I'll just absorb it. I won't deal with it. I'll just be like, right, it'll be fine. Carry on. Which is probably like the worst way to deal with something.
It's tricky, man, because I do think that there are some times where you need to be able to push yourself, and you need to be able to go like outside of your comfort zone, because every time that you go out of your comfort zone grows a little bit. You know what I mean? But it also needs to be done like sensitively, and it also needs to not just be like, oh, man up, like that's you know. The difficult part actually as well is that because I'm in this world, like I'm obviously saying this and hearing this, and it's kind of like, you know, with like Facebook where you're just in this like feedback loop essentially. I'm at this point where I'm like, well, surely everyone must be like really open-minded about mental health now, right? Because I've been talking about it for 7 years. Like, come on. But then you kind of, you know, actually meet some people who are just like, no. And it's like, well, yeah. So it's Yeah, I think the more that stuff becomes like normalized, and the more that it's kind of like it's okay. This was something I was saying on the way up here, actually, wasn't it? That like it's almost like we want to like not feel any negative emotions. Do you know what I mean? And that's
You just
perfectly
sort of
understandable.
block them, don't you?
Yeah, but like it's kind of like you need to feel negative emotions, and that's part of life, and it's part of the ride, and they can be the sort of thing that you then learn from and go, okay, that sucked. I don't want to be there again, so I'm gonna make a change so that I don't end up in that place again.
That's the point of reference, isn't it? That's how you value all the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, and I don't really know where I'm going with this necessarily, but like it's the case that we almost try to protect ourselves, and quite understandably, but if we feel these negative emotions and understand them and give them a name, then they become less scary and they become more able to deal with, you know. So but the more that it just becomes like, oh, stick that to the back of your mind and don't think about that, man up and get on with it. And oh no, it's the feds.
Come for you.
So yeah, man, yeah, and I hope that you know, the irony is that what we're trying to do with Heads is do ourselves out of a job. Do you know what I mean? Like ultimately, with the place we want to be at is where Heads Above the Waves isn't needed anymore.
Yeah.
Which you know, that's blue sky thinking, and that's never going to be the case. There's always going to be something going on. But
I was going to ask, how do you? I guess you've seen a growth in, you know, around mental health, but it's not exactly a copy and paste. This works for everyone because everyone's deals with everything differently, and how do you approach that?
For sure, and well, that's the idea of like we sell merch to help fund our work. So rather than getting like grant funding and stuff, which we're working on, we're trying to get some, but like we've kind of again been a little bit self-sustaining, and we've not been mega rich and sorted, but like it's reaching a point where it is able to kind of grow itself a little bit, and all the merch says, you know, one size doesn't fit all, because that's the biggest problem. If we're talking about, you know, someone goes into hospital with a broken arm, it's really kind of whoever you are and whatever you've done to your arm, it's going to be like, cool, you set it in plaster, you leave it for however long, and it's the same process for pretty much everybody. Whereas mental health issues stem from so many different things and manifest themselves in such unique ways that actually the patient, I suppose, everything needs to be approached on a case-by-case basis. And what we're always about is trying to throw out as many different things as possible, so that it's kind of like, you know, particularly when we're working with young people who are self-harming, it's kind of, that's a coping mechanism and it's serving some sort of purpose. The same as like, you know, a lot of alcoholism and drug addictions. It's like it's serving some sort of purpose. Maybe that's escapism.
It's an escape,
so it's kind of like, okay, how can you get that same thing from something more positive? So maybe if we're talking about escapism, maybe that is play some like virtual reality video games or something. Like have a really immersive thing where you're not in the real world, but it's not harmful. Have, you know, lose yourself in music, go to a gig.
Well, I was going to say, I think this is where hobbies thrive. If you found yourself love painting, dancing, music, that's your escapism.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people who don't have those sort of things and heavily deal with some mental issues, but they work through them in their own way.
You know what's interesting as well is that you see, like, especially with my old school, that they'd put lots of funding into like the sports and athletics and subjects which were like popular and doing well, but a lot of the arts would be like underfunded and stuff. People underestimate that arts isn't just an excuse to, like, you know, dick about for a bit. Like, there's so much in it, which is like, whether it's a coping mechanism or it is just a form of expression, which a lot of kids, I think, because like I consider us quite lucky because we're all quite artistic, expressive-y. We speak openly about our emotions.
I was going to ask, has that changed how the band chat with one another? And
I think that, like, because we don't really argue as a band, because we're all quite open, and if something's bothering us, we'll say it. And I think because we know that everyone is quite sensitive, or like at least still like we're quite open with how we express ourselves, that like we try and put each other in each other's shoes. It's never, we try to be as like, it's not, you know, as little selfish as possible, because you know that like whatever you feel is like they are doing, which maybe rubbing you the wrong way, it's coming from a place, it's not malicious, and yeah, I think that does really help, because I've seen a lot of bands who, because here's the thing, when you're a band, you're in an enclosed space for very long periods of time. We always make the joke that it's like a sleepover. It's like the sleepover, but it's like socially acceptable sleepovers, isn't it? Like when you used to be a kid.
Yeah.
But like that for weeks on end, like you are going to rub each other the wrong way. Absolutely. It's just a given. What's important is like not keeping it bottled up. And I know that's like a localized version of it on a much bigger scale of like, you know, people dealing with negative emotion by, you know, compartmentalizing it. And but I feel like it's true. You can take like a localized version and see that it can work on a broader scale. And that's what I was saying about like, I wish they'd invest more in the arts and the creatives, because there are people who are not, like me included, who was not built to enjoy like sports and those kind of subjects. I don't get the serotonin. I don't get the. Yeah, right. Calm down.
If that guy had a
if you just drew a couple of pictures every now and then, God. But like, but not just in terms of like as a release, you meet like-minded people as well, and I think that's what is good about Junior, is we are all kind of, with all our differences, we're actually very, very similar. We have the same humor. We make the same jokes about Metallica, and like
every podcast we go on. This is just copy and pasted from the podcast we've been on.
And it means that like you're constantly bouncing off each other, whether it's emotionally or musically, and you know, I think it's and like whether you get like the negative side of it in terms of like saying, oh, I don't know if I'm feeling that idea or stuff, and you get more like defensive, like, oh, well, I really like this idea, and you almost defend it twice as hard, but then winning someone over and being like, well, and they go, like, actually, this is really, really good, and things like that. It's constantly like challenging yourself with people who aren't going to respond like dangerously in a negative way, will just give you a bit of pushback where they feel like, where they want to give an honest opinion. And I think it's really cool. It's such a like a thriving emotional and creative space to be in Junior. Well, for me anyway.
Yeah, man.
Shame Sai has to be in it, but apart from that, it's all
I love like the deep, meaningful conversations you have in the van. Like it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're like pootling on to Scunthorpe for the 14th time this year or something, and you're like. I don't know. It's just like you have the really nice conversations, and it's wicked. So.
And I love how it fluctuates between like that, and then like it'll talk about how open everyone's talking about their mental health, and then switch and go like, TZ Rascal's first album was good.
Yeah.
He is a bassline junkie. He does like it funky.
Do you know what? I do go back to that video, and I'm like, so good.
It's great. Our photographer Mike loves that song. He loves it so much.
And he does all the like in between bits as well.
You know, like the ad libs.
No,
tell him
not
again.
Today.
Tell him again.
Oh, so good, man.
Love it.
It's just the way he knocks on the door. He's like, big, dirty, stinking bass. Dirty, stinking bass.
I love how, as well, the video is like, it like changes the song to accommodate the video, which is so funny for people who are like listen, just want to hear the song, because that intro goes on for ages to accommodate the story, the video and stuff. I'm like, you were sick.
I had that issue with when I used to steal music.
Nice.
And I like straight rip from YouTube. Thank you, Jimmy Eat World.
Hello, Lars.
And that solo is in the swimming pool on the music.
Oh, when it goes underwater,
I fucking hate this bit. And then I listen to the album like, oh, if only I bought the album.
So funny.
Do you want a pillow, by the way? This is like as a weird segue here. A little pillow. Like have a little lean.
Why don't you offer me a pillow?
Get a bit casual.
What's going on?
Because I don't want to move.
I'm okay.
We'll chill.
Thank you.
Was good.
We make it snug.
Do you know what that reminded me? There was the time we were on tour with a band called Handguns, and we stayed in.
That's aggressive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Literally, I went to the gym this morning wearing one of their baseball caps. It just says "Handguns, Handguns, Handguns" on the cap, and I was like, what does this say?
Are they American?
They are.
Yes, of course they are.
Yeah.
And but we were staying with them, and we were in where was it? It was in Newcastle in the Dixon's house. Oh, the Dixon family. If you've ever stayed with them.
You said the Nixon house.
The Nixon house, you know.
I am not a crook.
I am not a crook.
There was some sort of scandal going on. And
Something about using too much water.
yeah, outside the gate. And we were like, we didn't plan anything at all. We were all just like laid on the floor and kind of like in sleeping bags. And the guitarist from Handguns, like during the middle of the night, just was it you or was it
Me?
Mark?
Yeah.
Just lifted Matt's head up and put his pillow under Matt's head.
Oh,
Really wholesome.
Oh, that's nice.
Thanks, Jake.
Feel you, Jake. Feel you, son. Yeah.
So, for this year, what's it holding for Junior then? So that really like quietly then.
We've got a DJ set
And a gig tomorrow.
DJ.
I think it's we've got a couple of things in the pipeline which we're working on. I think for me it's just like getting these songs out, enjoying these songs we've spent so long making, because it was such like a rush, a whirlwind, even around the release day, that like I feel like we didn't get to enjoy it to our full extent and experiment with some of the songs, like the piano songs and stuff like that, which we really enjoyed creatively making, but we haven't had a chance to push. So maybe doing something around that. We were talking about doing like playing through the whole record from start to finish. Do you ever watch like the From the Basement sessions? Like some of them are really, really good. Some of them not so much, but there are some really sick ones.
Like.
Yeah, and we're the not so much. But Radiohead do really sick ones. They do 2 really good ones. They do In Rainbows, and they do King of Limbs, and Jack White is a good one. And like I love those videos because they dress up like the venue, like to make it look like in their style, and they just play through the record start to finish. I'd love to do something like that with Beautiful Life, because it's such like we thought about it as like aesthetically and it follows a structure and whatever. So yeah, I think something like that. I think some couple of shows, get my hair cut. The usual, you know.
Do you feel pressure in
Pressure.
Not to slate Lund, but I don't like asking that question, like what's for this year, because it feels like you have to answer. But
I mean, for me,
no offense.
It's all right. I thought he was going to go down the Oxfords route that we haven't done anything in.
So how about you?
How is that?
I think it's good because it kind of like it reminds you, because like if you feel like you're like not doing enough, or like you want to just enjoy the stuff which you have got planned, it kind of works both ways, because like you'd be like, oh shit, maybe we should get some more stuff going on, or it's like, oh yeah, we've got these really cool things coming up. So yeah, I think it's, you know, what about you, Si?
Then knowing your schedules, I imagine.
Well, no, this is the other thing as well. Like it's gearing up to be a really busy year for me, like outside of Junior as well. And I know it's busy for Mark as well. And Matt's going to be playing Apex Legends.
Wasteman Matt on Steam. Epic Store? No, what's it on? Sorry, this isn't important. Carry on.
No. I want to hear this.
Who does it? It's it'll be it's not Ubisoft Store. Origin. It's Origin. It's the Origin play. It's Origin. I'm Wasteman Matt on that as well, I think. So there you go, for everyone who's wondering. I brought this up on Sean's podcast as well. I hope so. I want to play Destiny 2 with someone.
But yeah, so it is going to be a busy year, and yeah, I think the nice thing is that we've not, coming back to what I was saying earlier, we've not really like set ourselves any like pressure in ourselves.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
It's just kind of like, yeah, if we make some more songs, that'd be really cool. I would really like to. We said on the way over here, I would really like to try and get into touring Europe before we actually properly leave the European Union. Just because, like, yeah, having done like the US and Canada touring, it's hard to get there, and I really hope that Europe doesn't become that. Do you know what I mean? I think we've been so lucky to be able to just hop across as a band, to just hop across and then tour and do it. So I would love for Junior to do that, but who knows
who knows. So I've probably imagine we've taken up a lot of your time already, so I'll probably finish on this last bit.
We got to. We've got to.
I mean, we're getting sick of you now.
No, the real reason is we have Mario Kart to play.
Oh, I see. Nice.
So,
are you in a rush, by the way?
No.
Should have organised this before.
Well, we get food is the thing.
That's the one thing, yeah. So if anyone on the podcast knows of any great places to eat in Manchester, can
this is live.
Can you send a text message to like a week ago or whenever this is and let us know where it's good.
But yeah, so for both of you, what's your pet peeve?
Pisses you
God.
off.
I have a They Junior have made a list of all my pet peeves, and I feel like pet peeves is like maybe too strong for this, because like Fred Durst is on there, which is like isn't a pet peeve. I can't say Fred Durst is a pet peeve, but like
you're getting this up now.
Have you got it? Is it on yours?
Have you honestly got this up?
Oh no, this is where I really can't be a massive. Have you got it?
This was from Recording Junior Land, I think.
Yeah, so this is for a while. A lot of them have stayed though. They're still consistently
during the time that we were recording the album, so like Matt would say, like, "Oh, I hate," and then we would make a note of it. And so we've got gang vocals, emojis, Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst as a separate thing to Limp Bizkit, Sticky Hands. That's very big one. Yeah, Sticky Hands. The Beach. Social media references in songs.
Yeah, I hate that.
Sand again, separate to the Beach.
Sand, yeah.
Anakin Skywalker more.
Yeah.
Well, only if she's softer than Sand, milady. All right. I got some great. Carry on with the list. And I'll come back to episode 1 in a minute.
Sand.
Episode 1 is the best of the Star Wars. People who say at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't like
the
that.
The taste of coffee. Jeremy Kyle.
Jeremy Kyle, yeah, but he's gone now.
Oh, I'm with you on Kyle as well.
Yeah.
That's what happened. You crossed Matt Attard. That's
what happened. You heard of Jeremy Kyle recently? No. You're welcome.
There we are. Limp Bizkit haven't released anything for a while, have they?
No, but have you seen the Fred Durst film?
Yes.
No, but I
Fanatic. I have watched it. With the first line of text, first line of dialogue from John Travolta is "Can't talk, I need a poo."
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
100%. Oh, just as a treat. Just as a treat.
Yeah. Just,
everyone.
He's still human. Yeah. So ball mouses. People who ball mouses, so like mice or like a computer mouse.
Yeah. That was.
Where
I haven't used one of those in a lot. Yeah, I haven't used one of those in a while. I don't know why I put that on there. That can't be a modern pet peeve.
People who say, "In your opinion."
Yeah, I hate that because you know when people go like, when you say like, "Oh, I wasn't too big on I don't know, I wasn't too big on Taylor Swift's album," and they go, "In your opinion," it's like, who else's is it? Of course, it's my opinion. What do you want about?
Yeah, why do you have to clarify? this?
Of course, it's my fucking opinion. It's not Si's opinion.
We end this list on 3 very controversial ones as well.
Oh, right. A lot of those changed because gang vocals is very broad. I don't remember saying that. It may have been something a bit more specific, but carry on. I'm defending my character.
Well, particularly because we're in Manchester, Oasis is on this list.
Yeah, I hate Oasis.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I like some. I don't like how over it's been 10 years and everyone's like something like, we like Oasis.
If it's any consolation, I hated them 10 years ago as well.
That's fair.
Guns N' Roses.
Oh God, awful band. Hate Guns N' Roses.
Right, go on. What?
Why?
Hang on.
Why?
Is Axl Rose also on there separately?
He's not, but Religion is, and maybe.
I put Religion. Oh, I'm such an edgy 14-year-old. I put Religion. Man, I am a loser.
That was in 2015, though. How old were you then?
15, 16, 17, 18, 20, so I probably should know better. Religion, what a loser. Why is that one of my pet peeves? If to clarify, to clear my name, Religion isn't one of my pet peeves at all. You do you is what I say to that. But Fred Durst, don't do you, because I hate Fred Durst. So there we go. He doesn't listen to this podcast, does he, Fred Durst? Or does he?
No, but Sean does.
Oh, shit, yeah. No, but Sean knows I don't like Fred Durst. He already knows.
My pet peeve is really not as exciting as that. That sounded like one of Manchester's very punctual trams just went past.
Not a pet peeve, actual pet
that's not
love.
a pet peeve, that's a love, yeah. No, my pet peeve is, when someone's texting you and they could just send one paragraph text.
Right.
And they send 6
That's such an
individual
indirect dig. I do that.
Yes.
Everyone in Junior does it, including
do.
Sean. And it's just it's fine, it's whatever, but it means that your phone just blows up and it's
when you got it on vibrate and it's late and you're in bed and you goes it's like, stop.
The way to combat is just ignore all of it. That's what I do.
Well,
so
yeah,
by the end of it,
thing,
it's like, Matt, what's your opinion on this? And I'm doing something else. I'm playing Death Stranding or I'm playing Apex. And I come back and I was like, oh, okay, we're playing this festival.
I came out of work the other day and there was 86 unread messages.
To be fair, it was really silly, I think. I remember that.
But that's the other thing as well.
It's kind of interwoven.
Some really, really, really important detail. Now, don't forget, you need to be at this location at this time. And that's sandwiched in between all these.
And they're like, Sean, tell me about the time you played in front of that dog in that festival that one time, and then you tell me the story when you played in front of that dog at the festival.
And all of it happens with
I think I'm
one-word
guilty
messages.
of this because we have a podcast group and I'm like, we should do this, and then I think about it a bit more. I'm like, no one's replying yet. We should also do this.
And
then it just
given the old. That's different. That's trying to get that's.
But if you're thinking,
conversation.
Okay,
you know what it is? I feel like it's just because I have to process what I'm going to say, but I want to make sure I don't forget the last thing that
my
I said.
other half does that.
Yeah.
Because it drives me up the wall.
So I've found a way for you to fight against this. Just reply in emojis.
Oh no! Or in Fred Durst lyrics. That's Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh no, I couldn't even think of. I go, "Sorry, do you have any motivational advice?" And you go, "Hey kid, you don't want to step in a big pile of shit." And I go, "Fred, you are deep." Great movie.
That was good.
bro.
Literally, all I could think of was Gold Cobra.
Gold. Oh no,
That's not even a particularly well-known Limp
Awful.
Bizkit song.
Oh, terrible. He did a song with Lil Wayne. It was terrible.
Oh yeah, it was great.
I didn't mind it.
So
We always joke about it all the time.
I
Yeah,
also
So I
like
sing
say
it.
anger, so you can
Yeah.
ignore me.
So yeah, that's my pet peeve. I reply a lot in GIFs now. Oh, here's another thing actually. Not a pet peeve, just an observation. But like, you know how punctual the trams are. I mentioned. No, you know how
Your bassist is
Bassist
is
Haircut.
like conversation and like text speak kind of came around. Like obviously we had like normal words, and then that got to text speak, and then that got into kind of like what's the word? You know, like LOL stand
Abbreviation.
Abbreviations.
No, not abbreviations so much as like what is the word? Oh my gosh.
What do you think?
Acronyms.
Acronyms, yeah.
There it is. It's kind of gone from like full words, text speak, acronyms, emojis, and now GIFs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we're expressing ourselves in like weirder and weirder ways, and it's
Yeah, but you think about it, you have to put more effort into a GIF than what you would via an
Oh, yeah,
emoji.
yeah, yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
then you have to search the word that you're looking for to then find the exact one that relates to the emotion that you're going for. So then press that and then send it.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's so much
100%.
more satisfying. I had it today where literally I had to reply with an irrelevant Peep Show quote that made me look a little bit like a hard Brexiteer, just because I was trying. There was like a thing like because for those of you listening in the future, Britain officially the legal side of leaving the EU started last night, and they was like interviewing some guy in a pub in Kettering. And I was just trying to find this like, and this guy was obviously like really sort of like right wing and very kind of like, well actually it was one of these things where they were like, so why do you think we should leave the EU? And he was like, because it just don't work. And it was like, wait, what? And I was trying to find this Peep Show quote of it going like, I was just passing through Kettering, and that was what I was trying to find, and I couldn't find it, so I ended up posting something about like, justice has been served. Not actual justice, but I got what I wanted, and in the end, that's what matters. So I posted that on this thing, and I was like, I'm trying to be funny, but does this just make me look like I love Brexit? I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a weird thing. There we are.
There we go.
Quite you've really put a lot of thought in that observation.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, too much of my brain power has been taken up with that.
My
one.
only reference.
Should have just said sand.
Back to Star Wars.
Yeah. Do you know what a great quote from episode 1 is?
None of it.
George Lucas's fantastic writing. I vote for a vote of no confidence. Right, if you read that on a piece of paper, I vote for a vote of no confidence. You already said vote once. You don't need to say I vote for a vote of no confidence. You just say I'm vote. What do you say instead?
You say I'm voting for a vote of no confidence.
Yeah, I'm putting. Oh, you'd say like I put forward a vote of no confidence. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't scan well. Going, I vote for a vote of no confidence. It's like when the
You
two
definitely
horrible
didn't type
racial
this up on Word.
stereotype aliens, or a lot of them, because George Lucas has a real weird thing with horrible stereotypes in his movies. But then there's that one line when they go, "We won't report until there's something to report." I'm like, George,
Obviously.
why you made great films? You made 2 great films. What are you doing? Jar Jar Binks. The end.
We were talking about this with Angry Bob the other day when Raiders played in Manchester.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "That's what kids love: politics."
Yeah, trade
federation.
negotiations. All right.
Trade Federation.
Here's the thing there, right?
Here we go.
Oh,
Go
here we
on
go.
then.
Here we go.
Say it. Just say that episode 1's your favourite.
Episode 1
Do
is my
it.
favourite. Tell me
What?
that there is a better lightsaber duel than Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Maul.
It's
Episode
literally like
3?
7 minutes
Episode
of footage.
3.
Episode 3.
Yeah, the one in episode 3 is got. What you mean? Mustafa when they.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sick. To be fair.
Well, to be fair, yeah.
it's not Darth Maul, but it is sick.
Yeah, Darth Maul is
Your
like,
boy Ben gets the higher ground.
He does.
yeah.
Don't
To be
tell
fair,
I do agree that is a sick moment. in
Darth
that
Maul is
film.
probably one of the best baddies in Star Wars.
He is, but he was wasted. Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they could have got so much more out of him.
Did you ever watch the animated Clone Wars where he comes back and
I've
he's got rubber
not,
legs?
but I
It's
know
I've
of it.
seen it, yeah.
It's so sick. I also saw something really funny the other day. I'll see if I can find it. This will be my closing statement of someone putting General Grievous into like turn it into French. And hold on,
Oh,
talk
my
amongst
God,
yourselves.
I've seen this.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you this then. In the meantime, who would win in a fight between Darth Maul and Kylo Ren?
Oh, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
I gotta say
See?
Darth Maul.
So,
But Kylo Ren has a lot of aggression.
yeah.
Someone just knock on the window.
Shit.
Plot twist, it's Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would win in a fight.
I
I'm gonna hold this to the mic so everyone can hear. Hopefully, it's not gonna blow up the levels. So here we go.
At the ready.
General Grievous. General Grievous.
Nice.
Can someone describe that image?
Oops, do it again. Okay, so it's General Grievous from Star Wars Episode 3 with a beret and 4 baguettes instead of lightsabers. Is that racist? Maybe a little bit.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Tiny bit.
Is that the cover photo for this?
Oh my god, yeah.
There we go. That's my closing statement. That's all I have left to say. I won't
Episode
answer
3 is
another
so
thing.
quotable.
I don't even know where to go from that.
Thin.
Are you a fan of horror?
You're not.
Oh no, we were laughing about this on the way up here. Like, I used to get scared watching the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode.
Get out. Which
That
one?
Stuff, give it, like, all of it, man. The one that
Every
really shook me up the
Treehouse of
most was the one that's kind of like I Know What You Did Last Summer, where is it they run over Flanders and then that gave me nightmares for days, bro. So yeah,
Freakiest one I remember of them was when Snake gets the electric chair and then Homer has it as a and then
Wild, yeah.
Homer has his hair as like a hair transplant
Yeah,
and then it starts taking control of him and he goes evil.
Episode.
Or the one where the school is blending the kids.
There's too many.
Man, there's so many
Simpsons
great episodes. Yeah, and
references.
they're also really great episodes. What a great time for animation.
Yeah, I found that really spooky though. As a kid,
Yeah, man.
As a youth,
One
I
of
was like,
my favorite films of all time. So I'm not super massive on horror. Like, I like horror, but like I feel like I'm really rubbish with my knowledge of older horror films, like like Grindhouse. Well, not Grindhouse, but like slasher films and but one of my favorite films of all time is sort of like more like a thriller horror, but It Follows. You know what It Follows?
It Follows.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it because
I
I
like
know
that
it goes
movie.
through all the horror tropes. Like it's literally is just full of cliches, but it's
Yeah.
such like a scary concept of a thing constantly chasing you, but at a really slow speed that just never stops chasing you, and you don't know what it looks like. It's just like a simple concept for a horror thing, which I'm sure has been done like 1,000 times before.
I feel like you've beat us like with the answer to our question that we was about to ask.
Oh.
Because our segment is what's your favourite scary movie?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
We've covered it.
Yeah,
Simpsons.
well, there you go.
Nailed
It
it.
Follows.
Simpsons.
I tell you what, I thought was an overrated horror movie though, which
Alright.
only because of how much of a good response it got. But The Babadook, like I like it,
Right.
but I just thought it was like it was okay. It was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it's supposed to be about mental health.
I've seen things where people are saying that
the Babadook.
Babadook is supposed to be like a.
So like the son's supposed to represent depression that the mother's going through.
But it's
and
it's
stuff
supposed to be like is it postnatal depression when you with your
Yeah,
child? Yeah,
yeah.
it's supposed to be like
New song.
postnatal depression. But like it's supposed to be like like sort of like a manifestation of the anxiety and things like
Yeah.
that. Which like yeah, I could see that. That makes sense. I've seen people who've also said that like the Babadook is supposed to be like an LGBT
Yeah,
icon, which
I
is
love
weird.
this.
Yeah, but it's like
Like,
I don't know where it came
what?
from.
Have you seen the
Like, yeah,
the
I've se-
flags? And
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
But then they also said that about Pennywise in the newer It movies.
Really?
But then in the second one, he's like super homophobic, so it's like, that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
stuff? Speaking of Pennywise,
Yes.
you did a promo.
What?
You did a promo video.
Oh, yeah! I was like,
I was
did
like,
we?
"Oops."
How dare you? Yeah, we did.
For a
yeah.
moment, I thought I got it wrong. I was like, did I
Uh,
watch a different
Person you fucked up.
Yeah,
yeah.
I forgot we actually did horror things. Yeah,
We
we
did,
did. We did a joke of It. And yeah, it's weird. I have
wow,
no
we
idea. I pass.
in reference?
Look
I
at that.
just
Let's
showed
not explain what it is that we're looking at.
Yeah,
Wow,
no.
what a
Hey,
thing.
listeners,
Look at
look at
What
that.
an image.
It's General Grievous. And he's
General review. Yeah, we did joke skits of to promote a T-shirt. Yeah, Halloween T-shirt. What did we
We put
promote?
way much
It was such
more
an
effort
into it. It was
afterthought
so funny.
a T-shirt than our
what we
album.
actually were selling. Of It. We wanted like our own individual ones. So Mark had It, Cy had Candyman, and I had Blair Witch Project. And that was really funny to do because I feel like ideas like that only happen spontaneously.
Absolutely.
Because committing to that is such a pain in the ass. But if you're just there, like, well, let's just do it. And we just thought it'd be funny that, like one of those old cartoons that we all sleep in the same bed. Like, you know, like, what's he called? Thingy's Big Blue House.
Burr.
Bear, yeah. And where it's like, it's all a little bit surreal.
I pictured Bear Grylls for some reason.
Yeah, Bear Grylls drinking his own
Bear Grylls
piss. But yeah, it was super fun to make. It was also really funny for Mark's one that like it's supposed to be raining, and it was genuinely, I swear to God, the hottest day
It was.
of the year, and just edited rain on, but it just got way funnier. You can just see shadows from the car from the scorching heat, and then just fake rain coming out. The best.
The thing was, we did kind of miss a trick with it, really, because we kind of did it all where it was like our photographer Mike, and like we kept on making jokes through all of our little videos, being like, Mike, finish making our tour video, bro. And then we started recording something, didn't we, actually, where like Mike was actually going to save us at the end. We were all going to wake up in the same bed and then like run around the house, and then Mike was going to save us by killing. So it's our tour manager. Like, we've started putting him in a lucha mat, or I think he's just always had a lucha mat.
I think we met him in a lucha mask and we've never seen it off.
He was born.
He was born in it.
And
like the empty child from
Like
Doctor
Bane.
Who.
yeah. And yeah, so he was gonna like chase us around or something, and then Mike was gonna kill him with like the final cut of the tour video, and that was gonna be like the gag at the end, and then we just never got around to it, and we're just gonna like, yeah,
we
buy our
did it,
t-shirt.
but we just didn't do the actual hitting. We had him with the DVD with blood on it, going like,
don't worry, boys,
I've got the final
cut.
cut. And then so the credits are going to go, hearts on fire. But we just never did it, so it just ended. Yeah, and yeah, it was fun doing Blair Witch, because that's another horror film I love, Blair Witch.
I was going to say, have you seen that they brought out a game of the Blair
Yeah,
Witch?
Blink played it, yeah.
It's supposed to be good.
It's alright, yeah, it's like a walking...
played it,
Yeah, played it. It's...
Completed it, mate.
Sorry, mate.
We're over that,
Actually,
yeah.
I made it.
Made it.
Yeah, it's alright.
That is
like
the video.
walking sim. Good bit. It's style over substance, but it was nice to see like the Blair Witch IP being used for something that's not complete and utter shit like everything else they've done since the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the other thing. We were talking on the way up here, and I don't know if it necessarily counts as a horror film, but I love the Saw franchise.
Yeah,
it's horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
So I totally put Side Down on the journey here. I was like, that's a thriller.
God.
I think we have to count thrillers because my favourite is The Shining, and that is no horror.
Oh yeah.
It's like
It's got more horror tropes than the fucking Saw does.
Well, but the thing I really loved with Saw though as well was that they started like, so I was such a like scaredy kid, and I was like, oh, I'm never gonna watch that, and then I watched the first one and I was like, oh, that was actually really good, and then started watching like a bunch of them, and then it was while I was in uni was when like the last couple were coming out, so and they were releasing them on Halloween, so every year when a new one come out, we'd watch all of them, like we'd watch one a week. And then on the last week would be Halloween, so we'd go and see the new one in the cinema. So we had this really nice like kind of tradition of like going and seeing all of these like really hokey films, and then actually when it all ties up at the end as well, oh, mate, it's brilliant.
I like the first one. It's all like a B-movie charm, like it's kind of like goofy but thing, but it just
and then it gets goofier, and
it does get goofier.
But I was saying maybe that's the thing that maybe I like that because it's like a protection for myself, because I'm like, if it was too spooky, I'd be
Yeah, it makes jokes. It's
yeah.
That's why I like the New It film, the first one. That was making so many jokes. I was like, is this a comedy?
Oh, dude, it was so funny.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
We went to see that in the cinema, and like a bunch of us all went with our girlfriends, and then mine couldn't come for some reason. I think, and so I was just there on my own. So like, it was a scary part would happen, and everyone would all like catch up to their missus or whatever, and I'd just be on my own, like, this is a lot of fun. Yeah. That was a scary film. I didn't like it. That scared me a lot. Yeah, it was like 27 years old, and I was like, no, thank you.
I think when I first watched, my first like horror film to watch was The Exorcist, and I pulled myself off it completely due to that. And it was like only like up until recent I've like actually properly got into horror because of the podcast.
We hate horror, by the way. It's the third guy that couldn't show up. Horror. So now we're forced to talk about it.
Lazy boy.
Thanks.
I was exposed to The Exorcist through the Scary Maze game before The Exorcist, watching it. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a generational thing. Like, no one else is going to experience that.
It's like the commercial with the woman at the end.
Yeah. Was that from The Exorcist? What was it?
It just looked like the
Yeah, it was just, it must have, they just was a green screen. But yeah, that was spooky.
I remember Bluetooth in that video.
Did you? Oh, I don't think I could watch it again. I think genuinely it would scare me.
I think it was just, like when it made the appearance back again on Facebook, and like everyone kind of knew what it was because of like the fucking
you see those
shot.
hills and that road, and you're like, nope.
That was an energy drink advert.
Really?
What?
That was an energy drink advert, bruh.
Because we've got into the culture now, like meme culture, of when something scary or like the impact happens, they just boost the volume. You know when they do like the Monsters Inc. theme, and then when it kicks in, it goes like,
yeah.
So they do every time that video makes the rounds on Facebook. Sorry, that really hurt to do that.
Slurping tea, or
every time they do that scary video again on Facebook, they boost the volume for that. But I'm like, you bastards! It really scares me. Same with Monsters Inc. I go, I'm like,
not again,
not again. But yeah. Horror.
Fun.
Yeah.
Right, I think that concludes that, doesn't it?
I was suitably spooked by that. Yeah.
Did me a frighten.
Mario Kart, and we'll let you get some food.
Oh, yes. I'm very hungry boy.
Thank you very much for doing this.
No, thank you for
No
having
pleasure.
us.
Thanks for having us, guys. This has
Thank
been really fun. This has just been like hanging out with your buds, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
having a sleepover.
Some tea.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
yes.
Thanks for letting us in your hotel room.
No, it's quite all right.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Love you.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was episode 25 of An Earful Podcast with Sai and Matt of Junior. And if you didn't know, their bassist is Mark Andrews, professional wrestler. Big thanks to Sean for sorting this out and setting it up. Really appreciate that. And if you didn't know, if you didn't listen to my intro and you skipped it, pricks, you can get 20% off tickets for Burn It Down Festival. Vakovi, Shapes, Palm Reader, Siamese are joining the lineup alongside Dinosaur Pileup, TRC, Black Futures and Ithaca. Oh, that's a mouthful. So the promo code is An Earful Podcast, no spaces, 20% off tickets. Why wouldn't you do it? Other than that, thanks.